Yeah, and otherwise we'll be starting soon. I am in my version of a white suit for obvious reasons, I hope. I am channeling Mamala Harris, who I adore. So I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy this week. There you go. We can actually start. Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics, and this is our Skinsights live on dry skin. And for many parts of the world, it's kind of perfect because we're entering cooler seasons where dry skin tends to go a little bonkers. So it's timely. And I apologize that we had to cancel our last week's live stream. Basically, it was for the US elections. We wanted to encourage people to go out and vote, but also we figured people would be far more interested in voting and in the elections. And we wanted to make space for that because it was a really important one. So before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe, click the little bell to get notifications. And on Facebook, don't forget to follow us. And yeah, make sure to comment early with your questions so that I can make sure that we get to answer them during the live, because a lot of questions can come in a bit later and then we try to rush through it. So basically, dry skin can be a skin type that you're born with, but it can also be something that your skin naturally becomes over time. All our skins produce less oil and sebum, as we age. So our skin just becomes dry as we age, or drier. I was really, really oily skinned as a kid, which I think you can still see because I'm sweating because I was rushing. But my skin has definitely become more dry over time. I even have seborrheic dermatitis now in certain areas and rosacea in certain areas. But it can also become dry because of, and this is something people I think tend to dismiss more than not, it can become dry because of an underlying irritation. So one of the biggest myths we constantly encounter is people think that the last product you applied is always the source of an irritation or an allergy or whatever reaction, or that a reaction to a product has to be extremely severe and very dramatic and uncomfortable. Many times, a reaction to a product, especially if it's an irritant reaction, can be very subtle and occur over a long period of time and basically manifest as dryness. All of a sudden, your skin is just a little bit drier. So that is also a type of dry skin. And other things that can encourage dry skin are exposomes. We've talked about that in other live streams. Genes are sort of the things that we're born with. Exposomes are the things we're not born with, but that we do, or that we're exposed to, or that we eat, that affect our bodies. So stress for sure, a pro-inflammatory diet, certainly using a lot of allergens and irritants, being out in the sun, being exposed to chlorine and other sort of contaminants in the air, all of these things can certainly dry out skin. So, you know, it was interesting. I did a really cool live stream with a fantastic woman named Eva Herbert from Venezuela. From Venezuela originally. I think she's living in the Dominican Republic now. So we did a live stream in the Dominican Republic, and one of the questions was about skin type. And I really sort of doubled down on skin types are good to know as a very basic guide, but we at VMV in particular pay more attention to what are the symptoms that you're dealing with? What are the causes of these symptoms? So we look at dry skin as sort of a starting point, but then we have to look at other things too, because historically dry skin, for example, didn't get as much acne as oily skin, right? But we're seeing more and more adult acne, and we're seeing acne even in dry skin types now, more and more. So there. As far as exposome stuff that we can do to keep our skin less dry and happier, definitely an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So anti-inflammatory, antioxidant foods. The Mediterranean diet is sort of the classic shortcut, I say. And then what we apply in our skin, gentle, 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 certainly stuff that isn't drying. And a nice little myth, the idea that all alcohols are drying. They're really not. In fact, many alcohols are actually moisturizing. Lanolin is an allergen, but it's highly moisturizing, and it is an alcohol. Alcohol is just a categorization based on molecular structure. So not on all alcohols are drying to skin. And then be careful if your skin is already very, very dry about using too many disinfectants and bleaches and stuff like that, especially in the pandemic. So there, want to make sure I'm still connected to everyone. We have a storm coming, so I'm being sort of extra careful about connections. Let me just make sure. Okay. Alrighty. So far, so good. Right, where was I? Right, so the other thing, as far as ways to take care of your skin, minimize exposure to UVA and UVB. UVB is what you get on very bright cloudless days outdoors. UVB cannot penetrate windows, but UVA can. And UVA is even there on cloudy days like what we have today, and can penetrate windows. And all these things are radiation, so they will dry out your skin over time. What we suggest for dry skin does tend to come with sensitivity, and like I mentioned earlier, dry skin can be a sign of irritation. We always recommend using a very gentle shampoo, body wash, and conditioner like Essence Clark Wash. This is, I don't have the full size on me. I don't even know if you can see that because of the light, but let's try. Here we go. No? Yes? Yes, sort of. Essence Clark Wash and Essence Conditioner. Also good for dry scalps, right? Because of the lack of allergens in both. And then we have a great regimen for dry skin, which has a few of our best sellers actually. It starts with here we go. It's a super skincare regimen, but it's the moisture-rich super skincare regimen. So it goes cleanser, toner, moisturizer. This moisturizer in particular is one of our all-time best sellers. People really like it. People really like it. It's extremely soothing and rich, which is great. Even if you have combination skin, honestly, even if you have oily skin and it happens to be winter and is getting very, very cold, sometimes it's nice to sort of up the moisture and switch to a more moisture-rich kind of regimen. If on top of that, I have my co-host here.
Yes, sorry, my class ended late.
Your class ended late?
Yeah.
How's that? So, I'm talking about dry skin today.
Right, dry skin.
Yeah. So now we're going to, on top of sort of the daily regimen, I've heard, well, we've always talked about the importance of layering. So after, say, your basic daily moisturizer, you can follow with Essence Hand and Body Soother.
These.
Or Mommy Coddling All Over Lotion, or either of our virgin coconut oils, which is Oils Well, or Know It Oil. Oils Well has monolaurin added to it, and Know It Oil is pure organic virgin coconut oil. And then if you have really, really dry patches of skin that need extra help, reach for the Boo Boo Balm, which is our all-time favorite skin soother for extremely dry patches of skin.
And red better for red patches of skin.
Yes, when it's red and itchy.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So there. You use some of these products, don't
Yes,
you?
I do.
Okay.
Actually.
And on top of that, we recommend Armada Sun and Light Screen, especially. Yeah, I have one in my room, I think. So sorry, it's been a day. Nonetheless, Armada Sun and Light screen every single day, both indoors and out. And you can get all these products at vmvhypoallergenics.com internationally or
.ph,
vmvhypoallergenics.ph in the Philippines. And right now, when you shop in the USA, you get a free, where's the pouch? There, a free pouch. I get my Do Travel pouch, and it comes with a Red Better Calm the Heck Down Balm, which is pretty awesome. And in the Philippines, Today's 11/11, which is
It
like a
is.
huge shopping day in the Philippines. So we'll be offering, oh, I didn't bring it. You know, my tote bag, the VMV tote bag. It's really cool. You want to get it? It's if we can get it in time, but it's a really cool. We call it the VM Verdant bag because it's a great eco bag to go shopping with. But the nice thing is so many eco bags are made with plastic or plasticized fabrics. Yeah, that's it. And this one, it's going to be a smaller version of this that we're giving online. Yeah, it's about this size, the one that's available today. And the nice thing is it's made of canvas, so it's much more environmentally friendly and can be washed, which is really important when coming in from the outdoors during COVID times. So you get that. Oops. Oh my God.
It's been a day.
I'm sorry, honey. So are you okay? Did I just poke you totally in the eye?
Yeah. Ow.
Totally in the eye. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
also have to go.
Okay, so you have to go. Can you put some ice on
They
it?
gave us 4 minutes.
Sorry, babe. Thank you for dropping by
They
and giving me the bag.
They gave us 4 minutes for a break. I mean, why?
Okay, so then the VM Verdant bag is yours today when you shop at 11/11, and either you get a full-sized Clark wash when you're shopping online, or 3 travel-sized skincare products. So there. And then also in the Philippines, we do sell the monolaurin pellets at the clinic at, excuse me? At what?
I'm talking with him.
Oh, at VMV Skin Research Center and clinics. And then there, if you would like a teleconsultation with my mother or any doctor we work with, let us know in a private message and we'll make that happen. And anywhere you are, if you share your patch test results with us, we can customize recommendations for you based on your particular allergens and even possible cross-reactants. So, to help us really understand what dry skin is, what causes it, and how to care for it, I will call in our resource speaker for today, who's my mom, Dr. Verman Veralio-Rowell. Hello. Mwah. Okay, see, I'm sweating. Ugh,
You are indeed.
I really am. I'm sorry. So to me, the nice thing about speaking with a dermatopathologist about dry skin in particular is because we get a more cellular understanding of the behavior of skin, not just how dry skin looks on the surface, but what it could mean also, like other skin conditions it can imply and other health conditions it can imply. So there, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. And then,
Forgot my lipstick, by the way.
I think you look fabulous.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you noticed, again, I'm sweating. This is why I'm sweating, is because I insisted on wearing a white suit. And the reason I insisted on wearing a white suit is because Kamala Harris, very happy, and she's all in blue. So, yay!
Yay!
Okay, so what is dryness? Is it just, you just happen to be born with dry skin, or is it something else?
Dryness of the skin can be from many, many causes, including COVID times where you wash your hands frequently and apply those chemicals on the skin, and those can be very drying on the skin. So external forces, external things can make your skin dry, but at the same time, there are other skin conditions like atopic dermatitis, contact dermatitis, psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis, and all that, that also makes the skin dry, in part because it's part of its pathology, but also in part because of the chemicals.
Mean when you say part of its pathology?
Okay, in that the changes are undergoing, for instance, atopic dermatitis, the background to that, direct background, is genetic. And one of the things is that they have no, this particular enzyme called filaggrin, so that it doesn't break down the cells, and therefore there's no corneocyte removal and replacement. So that is its basic pathology. In psoriasis, the basic pathology is that whatever inflammation gets into your body from whether it's lifestyle or diet or lack of sleep or whatever, it then produces in the epidermis first certain changes that then gets noticed by the cells that are roaming around, noticing these kinds of changes going on. And then therefore that then sets off a number of cells producing the enzymes as well as the kind of hormones and whatever that make the formation of what we call cytokines. So that those
Okay, so
maybe I don't want to go there.
dry skin, you can
I
be
want to
bored
make
with.
it simple.
Okay, yes, yes.
In the old days, moisturizers, because this is very important. This is one of the questions you're
Mhm.
going to be asking. Do I use a moisturizer or what? Well, in the old days, we only used moisturizer because we wanted the water from the preparation to get into the skin and to replenish whatever water we've lost. Or we also use it like a layer on the skin that will prevent our own water from inside to go outside. And lastly, the moisturizer of the old days used to be that it would just remove that flakiness and make your skin look a little bit glossy. That was the old days moisturizer. Since then, talking about pathology, a lot more at the molecular level has been discovered, and those are now targeted specifically to find out what is really needed, because in our skin, just like in the rest of our body, there is balance of water and oil. Because that top layer of our skin, which is the cause for the dryness of the skin from whatever cause, can either be due to the loss of water, which is needed for what they call it a brick-like thing. It's dead cells that are like bricks. And within those cells are proteins, amino acids, and enzymes, things like that, that are kind of water soluble, making what we call, so it contains also urea and lactic acid.
Wait, I'm going to back up entirely again.
Okay.
Dry skin is something that you can be born with. Genetically, you just happen to have drier skin, correct?
Right.
Or it can develop over time. Correct? Even without necessarily another condition like atopic dermatitis or psoriasis, your skin can just get drier over time. If I heard you correctly, part of that is because we produce less sebum, right? There's water loss in the skin. So moisturizers back in the day would just try to keep the moisture in, would just try to provide a nicer finish to the skin. But as our understanding of dry skin has improved, moisturizers have actually become more targeted in their function, correct? Right. So that they now target, you were saying, the brick and mortar structure of the skin to try to keep the mortar, the sticky stuff?
Of the barrier layer of the
Of the
skin.
barrier
You'll hear
layer.
that more and more. The barrier layer of the skin is the most superficial part, the one over here that you can actually peel off or watch as it peels off. That's called the barrier layer, and it's been likened to a brick and mortar.
Right.
Where the brick contains water and the mortar contains oil. So the mortar is the grease that surrounds, and the mortar is in the water that. And there has to be a balance. You can't have too much, because if you notice, if you're washing, for those of you who still do laundry with their hands, after you've soaked it for a long time, it begins to wrinkle, right? Which is already too much hydration.
Or if you're swimming.
If you're swimming, you get that kind of change as well, right? So there has to be enough water and there has to be enough oil in that barrier layer. And this leads to what many of the moisturizers nowadays address what is missing. So therefore, two words in particular you're going to be here, and that is called the occlusive and the humectant. The occlusives are those
Let's back up first. So again, you can be born with dry skin, or it can sort of naturally develop over time, even if you don't have a, quote, skin problem, right?
Right.
However, dry skin is also associated with certain skin conditions. She had mentioned psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, seborrheic dermatitis, even contact dermatitis. So what's interesting to me and what I was sharing with them is sometimes people would be like, oh my gosh, my skin has become so dry, I guess I'm just aging, or it's just a natural thing. And my first reaction is always, what are you using? Because you might have an underlying subtle irritation that is manifesting as drier skin.
Right.
So can you tell us more about that? Why, if all of a sudden you develop dry skin, should you maybe consider the possibility that it might be something that you're using?
Right. Well, the more common ones are what I'm going to talk about. But in addition to all that, you must also remember there are internal problems like diabetes, hyperthyroidism, systemic diseases, genetic diseases also that produce dry skin. But they're not as common as in this day and age, there's always the aging of the skin, which basically means the skin becomes drier and drier in a slow process that is due to the environment. The particulates in the air, the traffic, the smog, the little things that come out of
Right.
the factories and all that, they contribute to your atmosphere. And depending upon where you live, this may not produce any dermatitis at all. There may be nothing, but slowly over time you'll notice your skin is drying or aging faster than you'd like to see it. So those would be the what we call now the externals. All right,
Exposome.
exposomes. See, she was waiting for me to say the word. The exposomes.
Yeah.
Look it up. As versus the genomes, which is in your cells and which respond actually to these exposomes that are targeting you. And so they contribute to photoaging, to dry aging, and all that. In addition, however, you get also what you are exposed to more and more during COVID times, which is really the chemicals we're exposing our skin to. Not just the water we're washing and the soap which are all very drying as well, but also to the chemicals in the air, because every patient who comes to my clinic nowadays is using some kind of chlorinated, lysonated, some kind of material, many of which actually, like alcohol, gets into the air.
They're airborne.
They're
They
airborne.
waft up.
And so therefore they stay in the atmosphere and they accumulate over time. So in a closed, air-conditioned condominium or room that is always like that, even with the filter that you place in, you will have these very minute particulates. Some of them, by the way, you can actually inhale when they're ultra fine.
Right. So again, right. So you can be born with dry skin, or it can just get dry over time because we age and we produce less oil. And so our brick and mortar setup in the barrier layer of the skin gets out of whack. It's less balanced, which is why moisturizers are so important. Even when you have oily skin, right? As we get older, we produce less oil anyway. And so we need moisturizers. But over time, your skin can become drier because of exposure to airborne contaminants like bleaches. Having dry skin, is it connected with having dry scalp and dandruff?
Very often it is, depending again upon the cause. Like for instance, I see a lot of patients who use the same shampoo for body soap as well, or a shampoo that has ingredients similar to the body soap they're using. So they will get an irritant or an allergic contact dermatitis to that particular chemical, and very often it's either a preservative, a fragrance, an emulsifier, or the thing that makes it bubble in both the shampoo and the body soap, and in which case therefore they will get dryness of the skin secondary to the allergic or irritant dermatitis from those chemicals. So yes, they can be connected that way, quite often actually, because of the conditioner as well that may have the same
So
ingredients.
often that dry scalp, so okay, again, trying to break it down, no? You can have dry skin and therefore naturally dry your scalp, which can cause the scalp to flake, correct?
There's really no naturally dry scalp, except unless you have a genetic condition.
There you go.
That we were talking about.
So if your scalp is dry and flaking, you want to actually first look at what is causing that.
Correct.
Because it is unlikely that it is a, quote, natural thing that's happening. So it might be an irritant or allergic reaction to several ingredients in hair care and hair styling products. So maybe start with that. Is that correct?
Right.
If you notice other things, it's really always best, as we always say, consult a dermatologist, right? Don't self-diagnose. Because some things like psoriasis manifest early on in the scalp or the nails.
That's right.
Diba? So it's always better to talk to a dermatologist, especially if it's very chronic. But a good first step is to assume, you know what, it might be, especially if you're using shampoos, gels, conditioners that are heavily perfumed, that have preservatives. These are common top culprits that can cause irritation, again, dryness, and therefore the flaking.
As a rule, the skin in childhood remains like that. It's okay. And then endocrine hormones over your adolescent period make you secrete more oil. So you may notice that all of a sudden or gradually your skin becomes more oily on the face, more oily on the scalp, That's a natural kind of thing. You just sort of switch on to another kind of a shampoo that will address it. There's no flaking, there's no dryness. It's just the way it is. Be sure that you then choose a very mild, a shampoo that can address the increased oiliness. And then as you go on to an older age, maybe you are exposed to a lot of those chemicals we were talking about, and it would affect if your hair is not very thick or it's relatively thin, or it's short so that it goes into the scalp at the back, things like that. So you may then begin from secondary exposure to these chemicals, begin to have dry skin. When people tell me about the fact that their histories, why didn't you go to a doctor and ask what you should be changing into rather than trying to do it yourself and going to the store and going to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5?
Experimentation is not often a good thing. Especially if you're doing it not knowing what your particular allergens are, it can often backfire. And then by the time you see a dermatologist, you now have 15 different products that you have to rule out what might be causing the problem. So it can
including the use
things.
of a hydrocortisone or a steroid cream that you can buy over the counter. So
a quick, because it's sorry about the dogs. It's an interesting day today. So the dogs. A related question is dry scalp then related to dry skin that can cause hair fall? I wouldn't put it quite like that, but dry hair shafts. So 2 things. Dry hair shafts can be brittle and prone to breakage, right? But also dry scalp, if it's irritated, can mean a stressed scalp and a stressed follicle, which does not bode well for hair loss.
Just remember that the dryness is affecting the barrier layer of the skin. That's very superficial. All right? Hair follicles are deep inside the dermis, second layer already of your skin. So they basically are different. You can have hair loss because you've been under such a severe stress when COVID started. 3 months later, you're going to have hairs all over the place. It's called telogen effluvium, where your hairs decided to go to a rest period, in order for it to save itself because you were under so much stress. And then 3 months later, roughly, your hair then begins to grow. And that's when you notice that a lot of hairs are still falling, but within a month, your hairs have come back. You can notice.
We have a great live stream on that, on hair loss, that you should check out.
Right.
Okay, what causes or worsens dry skin? We discussed already exposomes, right? A certain possible underlying condition. So very quickly, you mentioned some of them earlier. Dry skin, especially if it's not really there, it's not a problem before, can be indicative of diabetes, thyroid problems,
adrenal glands.
Yeah, so if dry skin is not something that you've kind of dealt with most of your life, especially, then it is worth talking to a doctor about, just to rule out other things,
internal problems,
right? Also, if you are undergoing chemotherapy, the skin tends to really, really get dry, right? So it's interesting to me because I have friends who ask me, what should I give like my loved one who's undergoing chemotherapy for skincare? And they tend to give them a lot of organic stuff. Natural, so natural, paraben-free. It's so, and all I can think is, but look at the ingredients. It's packed with fragrances. Even if they're organic, natural fragrances, fragrances are top allergens and can cause further drying. Plus, some people who are undergoing chemotherapy get really nauseous. And you can't always tell what might trigger, no? So it might be a really yummy smelling thing to you that to someone undergoing chemotherapy might make them want to gag. So
and remember, chemotherapy kills cells. It also kills those hair follicles.
Yeah, that's true.
So you expect some kind of a hair loss from that, of course. That's why.
Okay, so we have a question. Should I drink more water if I have dry skin?
No, not necessarily. Your drinking will not affect that. You're eating oils though. The kinds of oils that you take internally or use for cooking will affect, because you see it goes into the gut and it's breaking out into fatty acids and all of that. That same oil that you've taken internally is the one also that's going to go and be called upon to repair the cells in your skin, so that yes, the kind of oil that you're eating will affect how good your barrier is because of its lipids.
So wait, the
So
amount
you
of
actually
water.
get, hold on,
Okay.
we'll get lipids, therefore, both from the amount that you take internally, the kind as well of lipids that you take internally, and you get it also from the application, because they actually go into that Golgi.
But let's talk about food first and
Oh,
intake,
okay.
right? So
The food
the
first.
question was about water. So it
The
seems
water.
like drinking enough water is important, period.
Right.
Right? So our bodies are something like 70% water or 60%. We need the water. And you need, if I'm not mistaken, for women, it's something like 72 ounces
Right.
a day. So like a 1 point something liters, no, a day. So you should drink it anyway because it's important for your cells' function. It's important not to be dehydrated, etc. But will it help hydrate your skin more? It seems like not as much as eating the right oils, if I heard you correctly, right?
Right.
So pay attention to the oils that you're eating more than over drinking water, thinking it'll affect your dry skin.
Right.
In a
If you
positive
really
way.
become dehydrated, though, you
Ah,
know,
yeah,
you
then
may-
your skin would really. That
suffer
snap test, I think I
from that.
shared it before.
Right.
I was worried my cat had been vomiting and was dehydrated, and they were saying if you snap the skin, if it doesn't snap back quickly, there might be dehydration. So that's of course when we're talking about if you've been vomiting a lot, you have a stomach flu or something, or food poisoning, and you've been vomiting a lot or have had diarrhea. Definitely you might see some of that on your skin start manifesting, so you really need to rehydrate. But in terms of what you can ingest to help dry skin, you were talking about oils.
Yeah, we're talking about the diet, actually, which we
Yeah.
already talked in some previous live stream about how the diet affects the skin, and definitely it does. You know, so you can look it up. It's very good, actually, live stream, I think, on diet.
Definitely. But so just very quickly here, if you want to improve your dry skin, you're looking at omega-3 oils, which are great in small fish like sardines. Actually, they're great in fish, period. But the concern with larger fish is the amount of mercury, just because they've been, around living for a while in larger oceans. So if you can get smaller fish, sardines are really rich in
Perfect,
omega-3, anchovies, herring, that kind of stuff. Really oily fish. It's a great source of that. Virgin coconut oil, certainly. So that helps. Now, in terms of how to pick a moisturizer. So if I have dry skin, and this is what you were talking about, where there's occlusion and there's humectant. Right. So can you tell us more about that?
And many of the moisturizers nowadays have a combination of both. But let's go first to what exclusively they are. The occlusives are those chemicals. The best example of it is petrolatum, Vaseline. When you put it on top of the skin, it produces what we call a palisade. So it's like a real barrier, a real gate, so that it therefore prevents the water that is normally present in your skin from evaporating. And at the same time, it stops chemicals from the air to get into your skin. Like
This
if
is the occlusion part.
This is the occlusive, right? And besides Vaseline, you have waxes and lanolin and things like that that can be occlusives, plus the oils, which is nice because they're lighter and they're not as heavy. Like patients of mine with a very dry skin that I give the Vaseline will complain. So what I tell them is, well, there's another occlusive called coconut oil, and what the coconut oil does is actually, although you may not think it because it's so thin looking, it actually is as well an occlusive, because its fatty acids are different from the other oils like safflower, grapeseed, soybean, whatever, in that they are medium chain and they are saturated. And so when they break down into the individual fatty acids from the oil, they are like logs. They lie down and they're like an occlusive.
So again, this stuff, let me tell you, it's cool because you won't hear it described like this from a lot of people. This is really from her research. That's why it's so nice to talk to her about this stuff. So when you're talking about moisturizers, right? One of the crucial functions you're looking for is occlusion. If you look up occlusion in a dictionary, from what I studied, it was used for an entirely different thing, but it basically means to tamp down, to cover, to prevent from escaping, to really sort of cover, right? So when she's talking about the importance of occlusion in a moisturizer, she's really talking, if I'm not mistaken, about preventing water loss,
yes.
but also protecting against. So it's both ways, right? Preventing the water loss from here, and then preventing stuff from getting in.
Right.
So there, and then the other part, not just
It's called the
occlusion.
humectant.
Yeah.
The humectants, because remember, there's a balance of of water in the cells, and what we call the normal moisturizing factor is what they are all called. The lactic acid and the urea and the enzymes and the amino acids that are present there, they absorb water and they keep the water content. Balance versus the barrier, which is made of the mortar, which is made of oils, and that oil is very important because the kind of grease that there is should also be even in balance. And it's been now shown that ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids from the oils we're talking about, they're in balance, and you need one over the other more. Just as an example, this hasn't been written up in the books, I think, but a lot of people nowadays take statins.
Stay tuned. You better screen record.
Right. A lot of people take a lot of statins because they're supposed to bring down the cholesterol. And the unfortunate thing about that is that they take big doses, or the cholesterol wasn't very high to start with. The cholesterol level goes down. And remember what I just said: the three most important oils in that mortar are ceramide, cholesterol, and fatty acids. So if you deplete the cholesterol, so I have a barrier serum every now and then I'll supply to patient, or I'll prescribe, which is the ceramide. They're supposed to be 1:1.
That's my daughter, her granddaughter, who is saying hello in the back.
And I may combine it in such a way that the ceramide is 1, 3 for cholesterol and 1 for fatty acids.
Right. So the goal is really balanced. But again, in review, when you're looking at a moisturizer, you're looking at an occlusive. You want something that'll prevent water loss and serve as a protection against contaminants coming in. And then you want a humectant. Which replaces, helps
the humectant
rebalance.
Either has water in it, like the water that the lotion or the cream may have, that's supplying the water as well, plus supplying the oil to make that to contribute towards the mortar. So the occlusive is the petroleum jelly, or the Vaseline, or the lanolin,
or even the VCO.
Or the VCO, right? And then the water supplier is the lotion, the water in the lotion itself, as well as the oil in it that can contribute towards repair of the cell wall, and also of the contribute towards that barrier grease that goes in between the cells.
Right. Can we do a quick side, very, very quick, because we're talking about dry skin, not oily skin, but there is a constant question we get that if you have oily skin, you should not use moisturizer.
Yeah.
And that is not true. It also depends on the moisturizer, right? So if you have oily skin and you tend towards acne and clogged pores, obviously don't pick a moisturizer that has comedogents or acne gens.
Right.
But even oily skin can definitely get irritations, definitely experience heightened sensitivity, right? Because of all the things she was saying: exposure to chlorine, alcohol, pollution, irritants and allergens all around us.
Right.
So, and it's not like before where life was simpler, right? We really are exposed to a lot more things. So our skin just needs better care. And as she's talking about, we have a very healthy balance in our skin. Even if you have oily skin, even if you have dry skin, naturally there's a balance we're trying to maintain. And a moisturizer should help you maintain that, right? The water and the grease.
Don't forget the daily sunscreen.
Yes. Don't forget the daily sunscreen. Actually, if you're smart about it too, your sunscreen will not have allergens or irritants, and will have either a barrier function and or a humectant function.
Exactly.
So then, right?
You must look at the sunscreen that you're going to be using, that it has ingredients that protect against the visible light that I'm facing right now, for instance. And television, computer, iPads, the mobile phone that you use for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, okay, morning and night. So it's not just sunlight, it's really the indoor visible lights, which has been shown in particular to produce its own photoreactivity for everybody, whether you're white or brown skin, and for the brown skin person to contribute towards the development of those darkened areas.
Melasma, hyperpigmentation. We have a nice shout out. Hello.
And at the same time, the
Yeah.
sunscreen, because of the ingredients that you have there, can help in preventing the getting in of those bad chemicals.
Exactly.
That
So
are
you look
in
for
the
something with a physical barrier to it that can help. Sorry, someone is saying hello. Joanne Ventura Advincula
Oh,
Lilgay? Doctora,
hello.
I miss you, my research mentor. Hello. Okay, another question.
Hello.
From Matanglawin03 on YouTube. Why do we tend to have dry skin post-surgery? I don't know what that is. Even without hospitalization. Did I understand that right? I might have gotten that question wrong. Why do we tend to have dry skin after surgery? Or, okay, if you have dry skin in a hospital, I can tell you it's because of the climate. It's because of the environmental controls.
Right.
The air conditioner is really, really drying on skin, as is heat. If you're in a colder country, controlled environments, climate-controlled environments, either heaters or ACs, can be extremely drying on skin. If you're in a hospital for a while for surgery or another reason, that can certainly contribute, as well as the fact that hospitals are drenched in chemicals, right?
Including in the laundry of the sheets and towels.
Exactly. So there's a lot of chlorine, there's a lot of bleaches, there's a lot of alcohol. All of that is drying to the skin. And a lot of alcohols and bleaches are fragranced. Now, if you're asking why does skin get dry post-surgery? That I don't know.
I'll give you an example of a patient I recently had about a week ago or so. Emergency case brought in for a severe a stone that was impacted in his gallbladder, and so they were going to do the surgery the following day. So here I am, and I look at my poor patient who had psoriasis. The stress of all of this made it flare up, and when you took off all of the clothes, you could see that the lesions were much worse on the face, the neck, the V of the neck, and the outer arm. So you knew he was...
I think we're back, folks. Yeah, I'm getting reports that we are back from some people. Let's see. So we were in the middle of a story.
Hi, Lexi.
Where? I don't see her. Yeah, I think we're back. Okay. Hallelujah. Sorry about that. I knew the connection would be a little wonky today. We are expecting a big storm, so wish us luck. So she was in the middle of a surgery story where she had someone who was extremely photosensitive. And she had this person basically mummified in titanium dioxide and zinc oxide for the surgery to prevent further issues.
And as an occlusive, all I used was coconut oil and Vaseline on top. And then for the rest, it was just another kind of a cream. No steroids whatsoever. Like I said, after a week, less than a week actually, he left home. He left by day 6, I think, in the hospital. Completely, so operation done. He was okay. He was walking around already, and wanted to go home. Didn't want to stay in the hospital another day. But his skin was 75% improved just by avoiding the lights inside his.
So, in other words, to the question about surgery, right?
Yes.
One of that could be hospitalization. The other could be the lights.
Exposure to the lights.
For sure. Another question from Deanna. Can we skip moisturizer if we use SPF that's quite hydrating? And I think the answer is yes, based on what we were saying earlier, but you really have to look at the ingredients to make sure you're hitting the required occlusion, humectant, and SPF, and PFA, and indoor light protection.
Yes.
But yeah, if it hits all of that, sure. Right. A great question we always get is all alcohol drying? Should dry skin completely avoid alcohol? Because we get that all the time.
There are some alcohols that are actually moisturizing.
Exactly.
But if you're talking about the alcohol we drink or the alcohol that we have in the disinfectants, they're all drying.
Right. Yeah. You can manage this, of course, but for the most part, sure. If you have extremely dry skin, we wouldn't necessarily recommend a toner. Like people with rosacea, we wouldn't necessarily recommend a toner. But the idea that all alcohol is drying for skin is not true. It's a misunderstanding of what the term alcohol means.
Yeah, that's a chemical structure that makes that chemical alcoholic.
Yes. Exactly. Okay, I want to make sure as far as other questions that we have pregnancy. Why does skin get dry during pregnancy? It
Maybe
gets
because of the
itchy.
hormonal changes.
There you go. Yeah. So if there are hormonal changes in pregnancy,
If you get more of the androgenic type of hormones going around, then you will tend to become a little on the oily side. But if you're more on the other kind of hormones, you might become dry because of that. But the other thing would be because people tend to use skincare that's different when they are pregnant. And they may not, in fact, be humectants and occlusives and barrier repair and barrier protection kind of products. So
Right.
it could be the products, the difference in the products you're using. And again, you must remember all of these laundry soaps, by the way, are very drying on the skin, because many of the laundry soaps that we have contain bleachers. Bleachers are what? Chlorine also.
is very irritating. Okay, I can keep her for maybe just another minute or two because we dropped off, but I know she has a busy day ahead of her.
Oh boy.
But so there, it's sort of just some key things to remember. No, I did want to make sure we answered this. Is it impossible for dry skin to get acne?
No, it's not at all impossible, because acne affects the follicular unit, and it can be clogged basically by the dry skin as well, and therefore produce an acne lesion. Whereas the dry skin, like we mentioned earlier, affects the barrier and the epidermis. The follicle is in the dermis. So you can, in fact, have, as a matter of fact, one of the dry skins I see a lot of would be rosacea. People get rosacea mid-30s and onwards, and their skin at the same time, because they're so photosensitive as well, they get to be slowly, not just red, but drier over time. And then they develop what's called pustular rosacea.
Mm-hmm.
They can develop the pimple-like
Right.
rosacea lesions.
Or even maskne. You don't have to have oily skin to get maskne.
Absolutely.
Right? Because maskne can be caused by the irritation of the fabric, can be caused by any antibacterial or chemical that's in the mask itself,
Right.
can be caused by the fabric itself, can be caused by the laundry detergent, anything that you're using on your skin, because remember, it's a very occlusive occlusion. It's a very enclosed area, so you're sweating a lot, there's a lot of humidity, and it can be caused by that. It can be caused by fungus going crazy because of the sweat, or demodex, which are mites that live naturally in our skin, going crazy. So dry skin can definitely get acne. Something to think about. So there, I think we're good.
Are we done? Thank
Yes.
you. It's
She has
always
a full
pleasure to be here.
day.
It's always a pleasure to be here. I do have a full day. I already had one at 8 o'clock. But I welcome this. I just told my former residents and consultants now in the various places in here that, I invited them to watch. And I said, the reason I'd like you to listen is this is the way you should talk with your patients.
There you go.
We know so much, and they are such complicated things, like I sometimes wander into. But the thing is that the patient needs to understand, because once they understand why would they need a humectant, why they need an occlusive, why they need a barrier, why they need this, it's easy for them to be able to be more serious about looking at labels, reading them, maybe even some of my patients take pictures of the label of something they really want to get and ask me to interpret it for them, and can they use it? I'll look into their records and all. But yes, write me, by the way, as a teacher. Am I teaching you well? Am I imparting?
There you go. She wants to know.
Am I imparting it the way I should? I'm doing this also to the residents, by the way, because we're migrating online now, and we're trying to get the online experience to be similar to, or as close as possible to, the actual making rounds in-person experience.
Right.
For the
So
residents.
actually what you're getting here is a pretty amazing dose of this one, who's usually not available. So while she's here, I totally take her for an hour. Mwah.
I always enjoy being with you this way.
This way. Note that, please. Bye, Mom.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. In summary, very, very quick things to keep in mind. Dry skin, yes, you can totally be, quote, born with. A dry scalp, though, is actually not that common as sort of just, your scalp just happens to be dry and flaky. Usually there's something that is causing it, right? So that could be an irritation, a reaction to something that you're using. It can be a fungal overgrowth. Maybe you took antibiotics, and so the natural fungus that lives in our skins, the balance has been thrown out of whack. Everyone needs a moisturizer, even people with oily skin. Just don't use stuff that's comedogenic or acnegenic. And you're looking in a moisturizer for things, for an occlusion, an occlusive ingredient that will prevent water loss and also serve as an additional barrier against other irritants that can worsen dry skin. And you're also looking for a humectant that repairs and replenishes water and oils, things like ceramides and cholesterol. Virgin coconut oil does both, which is why we love it so much. And also SPF, PFA, which is protection factor against UVA, and protection against visible lights like these or in your gadget, in your computer. Very important for dry skin. And if you've never really had dry skin and it manifests, you should definitely talk to a doctor about it to rule out other health conditions. Some possibilities are diabetes, thyroid issues, other concerns, and then, oh, what was I going to say? Yes, and also a possible underlying irritation to something that you're using, in which case a patch test might be a good idea. So just in closing, I mentioned a bunch of the products that we recommend for dry skin that we make. We have actually a regimen specifically for dry skin called the Moisture Rich Super Skincare Regimen. And it has a cleanser or a cleansing scrub, and it has the toner, Super Skin 2 toner with mandelic acid and monolaurin, and one of our best-selling moisturizers of all time, which is the Creamy Rich Intensive Moisture Milk. If your skin is very dry because of COVID or irritations, or because it's winter where you are, layer. Layering is a wonderful thing in sunscreens and in moisturizers. We also talk about that in a video I just did on eczema. So on top of that moisturizer, you could do the Essence Hand and Body Soother or Grandma Mini Mommy Coddling All Over Lotion, and then our virgin coconut oil. So either the oil as well, which has monolaurin in it, or just the pure virgin coconut oil. Both of these contain the virgin coconut oil, for which we have several clinical studies, including this one that's right on the label. And if the dry skin, if you have really severe dry patches, and there was a question earlier about traveling, I keep Boo Boo Balm in my bag, period. So when I'm traveling or in air-conditioned spaces, anytime there's a really dry patch of skin, I reach for the Boo Boo Balm. And if there's redness or itching, Red Better Calm the Heck Down Balm is a great option. And you can shop all of these things. Oh, everything we make, especially if it's VH1 minus 109, is a great option for dry skin because it means there are no allergens in it. And you can shop all this stuff at vmvhypoallergenics.com or in the Philippines at vmvhypoallergenics.ph. And many of our counters and stores are open now too, safely with PPE and distancing and all this other great stuff, and monolaurin hand sanitizers. When you shop in the USA now, you get this pouch and a full-sized Calm the Heck Down Balm. When you shop in the Philippines, you get the VM Verdant bag, which has moved, which is this, basically. It's our eco shopping bag, which is awesome because it's not plasticized at all. It is totally smushable, so it fits your bag well. I roll mine up and use the ties to tie it up. And you can throw it in the wash when you come home because it's still COVID out there. So when you come home and you do your full protocol, you can toss this in the wash immediately. And when you're shopping on .ph in the Philippines, you get this bag plus a full-sized Clark wash. And if you're shopping in counters and stores, you get 3 of our best-selling skincare in travel sizes. So there, if you would like a teleconsultation with my mother or any of the doctors or nutritionists we work with, drop us a DM. Everywhere else, if you would like customized recommendations for you because you've had a patch test and you're really trying to find stuff that you can use, it can be really confusing. So you can drop us a private message or go to our website and ask us to customize recommendations based on your particular allergens and possible cross-reactants. We can do that for you. And we will be here for the next few weeks, every Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, and Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. in Manila. And then we might start going monthly, especially because of the holidays. So there, let us know in the comments, please, if there's anything else you'd like for us to talk about, either in the lives or in pre-recorded videos. Don't forget to subscribe to VMV on YouTube because we're putting up content every week now, which is pretty cool. The latest video is my daughter sharing her skincare regimen for 13-year-olds. And then like us on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter. And certainly if you want to chat with me, I'm on Instagram at Laura@VMV. I don't tend to DM, so just write in the comments somewhere and I'll make sure to connect with you that way. But yeah, that's it. This is our Skinsights Live on dry skin. I hope you found it helpful. I do apologize for the connection issues and the other snafus we had today, but you know, we're going with the flow here, people. To everyone in the States, congratulations. Thankfully on a peaceful election so far, and me personally, I'm very excited about the results, and I hope everyone stays safe. Please don't forget social distancing, do your safety protocols, and look out for each other. Take care, everyone. Bye.